even though there's a lot more ums and uhs, like, I think just recording it live to tape is really working.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think it's upped our game, or mine at least.
Yeah.
I meant to imply that I won't speak for you, not that I've improved, but not you, Dustin. All right, well, hey everybody, welcome to episode 108 of the HooperCast. And I hope one day to get to the point where we can just release them without the number on them and not talk about what episode it is, because then it'll just be implied like there's a lot.
There's a lot, yeah.
There's a lot.
That would be nice.
Yeah, it would be. How was your weekend, Dustin? We did a pre-rec last week. We were both a little bit busy.
Yeah, the holidays have everybody scrambling. I'm good. How are you?
I'm going to make it.
Yeah. I'm a little tired.
I know that people hate... How do you feel about this? I've sort of been thinking lately, like... I'll read all this stuff from people about, like, on the subject of happiness and stuff, and how it's your responsibility to the people around you for you to be happy, because then you spread unhappiness. And but then it's like... So when someone asks me how I'm doing, and like I just got run over by a bus, do I tell them everything's great? Or do I tell them like, well, I'm in a whole lot of pain?
Yeah.
So what I tell people at my morning job is I just kind of smile and I just go, I'm gonna make it, because that really is like as realistic and as happy of a portrait as I can paint for how you doing? Well, I'm exhausted every single day. I'm hungry. I'm worried about money all the time. I'm feeling a little insecure about my abilities to meet the expectations of fatherhood, and just stuff like that. And for them to just go, oh, because they don't really care how you're doing, and if they do, they didn't really want the whole story.
Right. It's just kind of small talk.
Yeah. But,
it's just I'm going to say something so that it's not awkward.
Yeah, the alternative is passing without saying anything, and in the South, that is a big no-no.
It is indeed. And see, this is hard for me because I hate small talk. Like I don't know if it's the screenwriter in me, but I'm looking at it and like, what's the point? Like, what is this? How does this contribute to the overall story of my life?
How does this advance the plot?
Right, exactly. That's pretty much the way that I look at it. It's like if you're asking me like, hey, nice weather. How's the weekend? Be like, oh, it was good. Oh, cool. Well, if all you wanted was a one-word answer, then you obviously didn't care. So why did I answer? Yeah. And why did you even ask?
See, it depends on if your life is a very straightforward kind of movie, or if it's like a contemplative indie film where that's supposed to be some kind of big metaphor for capitalism or something.
Right. Well, see, but in my world, I'm in an action movie all the time. So these are all just getting to the next set piece. They're supposed to be building tension or drama or stakes. And if you're saying how's the weather, I'm like, that doesn't build the stakes. You can cut that out. Deleted scene right there. Bonus material.
I like to think of my life as a Greek tragedy.
I think I like to think of my life as a sitcom, which is not quite as funny as it hopes to be. It's more dramatic, and like as the seasons go on, the comedy wanes in favor of the drama, but the fans like it that way.
Damn, Dustin. Deep analysis.
I know, right?
Man, you got an analysis for everything. I thought I was the most analytical person I knew. And the more we do this show, it's like, no, it's Dustin. Dustin has thought of this. Dustin has his opinions in a buck slip in his brain somewhere, just ready to read off. Like, actually, I've thought about this. Same with dreams. It's like I don't remember my dreams, but Dustin's always got interesting dreams that actually like carry some sort of meaning and weight. And for me, I don't dream about really anything. I don't think I hit that stage of sleep. I don't think I achieved the stage of sleep that's required for the retention of dreams. Although I did wake up last night in a horrible dream that like my car just slowed down and then I was ambushed by 3 armed men who stole it from me.
Oh my gosh.
And I woke up terrified.
I had a dream like 2 or 3 nights ago that I was in a CVS with somebody that I didn't know, but we were friends, and so but it was just some make believe person, and like we were shopping, and they were feeling sick, and so I handed them I had some prescriptions because I had made them sick with what I had, so I gave them one of my pills to take, but. What actually I did was give them the whole bottle, and when I turned back around, they had taken all of the pills. Oh. And I was like, oh my gosh, we have to call the ambulance right now. And he was like, what? I'm fine. And then his jaw fell off, and he started to like melt. And then I was like, oh my God, I'm going to jail forever now. Oh my God. Because I gave a guy a thing that he was so allergic to, and he took too many, and now he's dead. And then I woke up thinking I had murdered a man.
Dude, my doctor scared the pants off of me. Let me rephrase that. That sounds bad.
That does sound bad. I mean, he had to check some things while your pants were off. So
he wasn't that kind of doctor. He was the ADHD doctor. He had no business around my pants, period.
Oh, gotcha.
I guess neither does any doctor, really, for the record. This is going well.
Very well.
He scared the... poop. No, he didn't do that either. He frightened me and intimidated me at one point because he would give me my medication, which is essentially, for anyone who doesn't know, Ritalin, Metadate, Strattera, Concerta, Adderall. They're all cardiac stimulants. They're basically little meth tablets. It's an amphetamine.
Yeah.
Deoxymethylphenidate. And it's speed. I mean, it's a stimulant. And they, and he said, no, you can't give this to anyone else at school. I was like, okay. He's like,
sure, whatever.
Seriously, if you do and like something happened, like that's a felony. It would go on your record as you dealing drugs. And then I look back on that now and I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, did he seriously try to like, did he think I was going to deal to my friends? Like, guy,
probably.
Trust me. These pills are expensive. I'm not getting rid of them. I'm not wasting them on my friends. Like,
I know, right?
Please. Yeah. Not only did I not do that, no one ever asked me. This idea that like, oh, the kid, they're pilling around. Like, not where I was going to school.
Right. Exactly.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and get started, I guess.
What did you have for lunch, Hooper?
Oh, I just finished some Manhattan clam chowder.
Oh, I gotcha.
It was yummy.
I think I have you beat.
Uh-oh.
I think.
What do you got?
I may not have you beat. We'll let the viewers decide. So, what I did was I went into the fridge and I was like, hey, what do we have up in here? And I found the largest tortillas I've ever seen. And so I took some Mexican cheese, and then I took some ground beef, made it up, and then put it in, let it simmer in some taco seasoning, some like spices, some hot spices, and then dumped it up in the quesadilla, put some more cheese up in there, shut the quesadilla up, cooked it to a golden brown, took it out, cut it up into bite-sized pieces, and ate like I was a king. I was a Spanish king.
A conquistador.
Does Spain have kings? I don't even know, but I was one of them.
Yeah. Well, they do now. His name is El Dustin. El
Dustino. And I have some little, I'm gesturing with my hands and then I realized you can't see me. I have these little, white flour tortillas. Or white corn tortillas, I'm sorry. And so I cut them up.
Those corn tortillas. I can't eat those.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. If someone sends me a free pallet of them, I'll just say, forward this to Dustin.
And that would be fine by me. And so all I did was cut them up, dropped them in some grease, made me some chips.
Oh, man. Yeah, I forfeit. You win, Dustin. Chunky soup is good, but not as good as what you're describing.
I mean, there's very little that beats a quesadilla.
For a while there, my wife was really craving Taco Bell, so I'd be sent on a lot of runs to go get It's funny that I say runs because, Taco Bell.
Because yes.
But they would, well, there goes one potential sponsor. They would, I'd go and get like a Crunch Wrap, and then I remember how much I used to love the Chalupa. It's so freaking good. All right, hope you guys are good and hungry.
Yes.
So today we're going to talk a couple movies. I saw a documentary. Surprise, surprise. Amazon Prime just has a lot of docs. Like, they don't have a lot of movies I really feel the need to see that much, really.
Sure.
So I just, downloaded this to my phone and took it with me. So that tends to be like my weekly movie decider, really. Trust me, it was either that or Home, which my wife insists I see, but I just don't want to. For the record, I did see Jurassic World and Mr. Peabody and Sherman this past week. But since we've covered them both on the show already, I don't want to really burn the time talking about them.
But they're both good movies.
Oh, man, they are. I mean, I essentially, real quick, my review of each of them is, Jurassic World is just good, harmless, fun. It was pretty good, and I don't see what everyone's problem was with anything really.
It was the heels, man. She can't run in heels.
Yeah, well, the whole point is that I don't know. Who cares? God, who cares? And then Mr. Peabody and Sherman was really good. Time travel is infinitely cinematic, and I don't know if there are plans to do more of those, which I'd be okay with, to be honest. I mean,
I'm not sure that they're going to do more. I know they're doing a Netflix TV series, though.
See, that'd be cool. Like, because I had no familiarity with Peabody and Sherman at all. I remember seeing the shorts, which were they associated with Rocky and Bullwinkle?
They were,
Okay, so I remember seeing the little shorts and just being like, so the dog's his dad, but so dog talk. So I thought that Mr. Peabody was the boy and Sherman was the dog, because I was like, well, who would name the dog Mr. Peabody? And but the whole time we're watching it, someone would say, the girl Penny would be like, "Come on, Sherman," and my daughter would turn and look at me and be like, "Sherman." I'm like, "Sherman." She's like, "Sherman." And I was like, "Oh, this is cool." So it was fun.
Awesome.
I liked the Bill Clinton joke at the end too.
Do I remember the Bill Clinton joke?
At some point, they have a bunch of people from Time kind of like right in front of them, and they're talking about something like, "Oh, but I may have done this, but I am a good father," and they're all saying like, "Yeah, I mean," the presidents are saying, "Hey, you didn't do a bad job," and Lincoln's like, "Yeah, me too," and then Clinton jumps on and goes, "I've done worse."
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and I think the puns in that movie are strangely funny to me. Like, I was obviously like, okay, that's gonna be his thing, is puns. And the funniest one, I literally I laughed. I almost spit out my food. I laughed out loud. Was they fall into like the tomb or whatever, and the mummy is like, his bone falls off his body, and Peabody just stares at it and goes, "That's disarming." And
yeah.
Oh shit.
Classic.
Yeah. Anyway, so those are good if you want to go to Redbox and check those out. Peabody and Sherman's on Netflix. Okay, so the documentary I saw was called Men with Beards. Amazon has started to read my patterns when it comes to the things I'm interested in. I'm a man with a beard. I am fascinated to a degree of the topic or the idea, the concept of manliness, modern manliness, and social expectations of men and how they're changed. I'd say I'm a casual student of that sort of thing. So so I watched it, and I'm not sure what criteria are really needed to fit what a documentary really is. I mean, it didn't follow any one subject. It was a sit down interview lots of people type of thing. But there was no arc. Like, you didn't follow a person throughout who was like, maybe they were growing a beard for the first time or something. Like, hey, you know what? Like, I just retired. I'm going to grow a beard. Or, hey, you know what? I quit my job in corporate America. I stopped working for the Lehman Brothers, and now I'm going to be a musician. So this will be my journey, and I'm going to grow my beard, and then visit the interviews within. I literally just thought of that, and that's a way better concept to me in my head.
Yeah, totally.
Than just interviewing a bunch of guys with beards about why they have beards. It's still, and everything I was reading on Amazon, like all the reviews were like, great doc, and I'm like, great, really? Great doc? Because, look, it's a perfectly good movie, and it's not a bad documentary. I mean, but you obviously have to be interested in the subject. I mean, they ask each of them at a certain point, like, what does it take for you to, how often do you wash it, or what do you use, and blah, 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 or what is your beard? But there's some good things in there too, like what kind of sense of identity does your beard give you? Like, for some people, it's like, it just, I don't know, I feel manly, or I feel this, or just visually it gives, or like the reason maybe I grew my beard in the first place, which was I look pretty boyish without one. I literally now, the main reason I don't shave is money. I just don't want to pay for razors or shaving cream. I will not do a pitch for a certain company right now until they get back to me on their email. But even with that, like even with cheap alternatives like that, I'm just like, I just don't want to devote the time to shaving and the resources. It's a money saver to me. So for some people it started like that too. And, it's a perfectly good documentary, but you don't follow anybody to any arc, and you don't really learn much, except maybe, for me, I already sort of assumed and knew all these things about men with beards. Like, the stigma that comes with a beard, like, oh, the assumption is that you're dangerous, or that you're countercultural, or this or that, but there was one part of the movie that bothered me, and it was played for like this big sympathy moment, like one of those where you linger on the guy, and he's like telling this real traumatizing story. One guy was talking about how he worked in like an office building, and at a certain point, so he decided he wanted to grow a beard, and at a certain point, the top brass called him into his office, and he was just like, honestly, I thought I was getting like a promotion, and I thought, oh, okay, that's all right, presumptuous. And then he's like, they basically told him like, the beard's got to go. Like they essentially gave him the impression like, you need to, shave the beard, or essentially you need to find another job. I don't know if they explicitly told him that, and he never said they explicitly told him that, but it was one of those like, it was basically this.
Understood.
And I thought, okay, so how much of this did you read into? I don't know. And he was just like, and then, part of me just wanted to just straight up go get my things, out of principle, but obviously like the constraints of, family and fatherhood, I had people to provide for, and I just thought, boo hoo, you have a job.
I know, right?
And I have felt no sympathy for him at all. In fact, I hated him. Like, he was fine before then, but then it was almost like he was saying, I really want my beard, but if there was no social stigma around abandoning your family, which I feel like there's only half of one nowadays, but exactly. If there was none, I feel like he would have said, well, I really don't want to shave, so see you, wife and kids. Yeah, but I don't want to be judged for abandoning my family, so I won't, So anyway, it was just one of those where I was like, so your boss essentially told you, hey, there's a dress code at this job, and you need to not grow this ridiculous, dirty-ass beard out. And he just, and his sons were all there with, and one of them sort of like put his hand on his shoulder as if to like comfort him. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Or like, thanks, Dad. Like, this big sacrifice. I'm like, oh my God. Of most things in life, your beard will come back. It will be there. Like, it's not it's not like it'll be too late once you retire. And
exactly.
And they're like, well, it looks good now, Dad. I'm like, oh, give me a break. So
that's so dumb.
So people like that, but so and here's the other thing. When the documentary ends, they show everyone's names like on title cards, Guess what occupation was the most common amongst all of them?
Tell me.
Hold on. I want you to guess.
All right. So these are all of these people have beards.
Have beards, yeah.
The most common occupation.
By the way, the title being Men with Beards, beards. You get the idea.
Beards. Okay, yeah. Either
as opposed to women with beards.
Maybe a mechanic.
Okay, that's your guess.
Sure.
Now you're doubting yourself.
Yeah, no, I'm myself.
No, one guy fixed bikes, and they literally just said that, or it said bike mechanic or something.
Okay.
Musician.
Okay, yeah.
One dude was performance artist. One guy was an editor. And then the rest were, it just sort of grouped them as like a family. So like maybe a few guys were retired,
Gotcha.
or it didn't say. And I just thought this would be a lot more interesting and a sign of the times if it said engineer or CEO or entrepreneur, this or that. But it was like, oh, this doesn't surprise me. All these guys who essentially work on who essentially have 1099s and invoices as their way of income. They don't work for a company. They essentially freelance and do artistic work for a living. Well, then, yeah, all you guys have beards, but you sort of just admitted at the end of the movie you're not covering a wide scope of men. You're covering a small scope of men. You're covering a wide age range.
Sure.
And then one guy was like, it just said, he was talking about how his son, and he's like, yeah, I just started growing up after my son was born, and now it's just how he sees me. And so his title at the end was Samson's dad. And I was like, so is he a stay-at-home dad? Or I was confused, and I just sort of thought, during the movie, I was thinking about the concept, Dustin, of how beards are ubiquitous these days. They are not really it's actually countercultural to probably not have a beard right now. And I was thinking about how the pendulum swings culturally. We go from, and they talk about this in the movie, like there's old paintings where nobody has a beard, and then at some point, like all the men have beards, and then it swings back the other way, and then it goes into the Civil War, everyone has a beard, and then it goes to after World War II, and no one's got beards, and then in the 60s and 70s, it was a countercultural thing to grow beards, and now obviously this is a 2013 documentary, but they didn't really mention. They obviously sort of implied it, but they didn't even really. I don't think anyone came out and said today like beards are essentially the norm, like they're destigmatized. And I just kind of thought, what an opportunity! And again, if you were to show engineer, like dude, when we interview people in the news, I'm looking at people who are like, county commissioner this or this guy or this guy. Freaking Paul Ryan has a beard. The Speaker of the House, just grew a beard. Like. Not that elected officials couldn't have beards before, but it's just something that usually didn't happen. They were Harvard law grads, and they've been shaven, and so they limited the scope of their subjects, and they also just sort of, I don't know. It just sort of felt like at the end it was a missed opportunity in terms of having someone to latch onto, and a missed opportunity to really talk about how the culture. It seems to me, in retrospect, how the culture feels about them. They touched a little bit on how like women might feel about them, but of course, all of them are like, "Oh yeah, my wife loves it." I'm like, talk to someone whose wife who it was a deal breaker for. Like,
right.
Get some range. I don't know.
Exactly. Here's an interesting thought. I was thinking about this not too long ago. So, if you look at superheroes as, and I guess this is fitting because it seems like you and I always turn back to superheroes somewhere in the show. If you look at superheroes, originally, characters like Superman, who were meant to be sort of the ideal, right? The physical ideal of a man.
Yeah.
I wondered recently if, like, let's say that same idea, the physical ideal for a man, and let's say that he was created now, would he have a beard? Would Superman be created with a beard now? And the reason I was thinking that is there's a story going on right now in DC Comics. It's an ongoing series. It's 2 issues in, and it's really cool if you guys want to check it out. This is probably my first comic recommendation on the show. Anyway, essentially, Superman, Clark Kent, is in hiding, and so he has grown a large beard. Not a large beard, but a thick beard. And so, it's the perfect, beard. And so it made me think, I wonder if Superman were created now, what that would be seen as. Because when I saw it on the page, I thought, you know what? It doesn't look bad. on Superman. Even though he's in hiding and he's not really in his traditional costume or anything, it doesn't look bad. And that made me think, Aquaman through the years has been clean shaven and then had a super long, like, super beard.
Yeah.
Like
King
down
Triton.
below his chest. Yeah. And then he's been clean shaven again. He's had scruff. Even Batman, there was a series called All-Star Batman and Robin, which Frank Miller wrote, and it was, I think, set within the Dark Knight continuity, but the Frank Miller Dark Knight. And Batman had stubble, had definite scruff underneath his cowl, and then you look at someone like Tony Stark, who's always had that, or even Thor. These are characters who kind of always have had that, whereas DC tends to be like they more like play with the idea of beards as opposed to they're the norm. But maybe that's because most of their characters were written in a time where that wasn't the norm. Batman and Superman both came at the end of the 1930s, and Aquaman, a little bit later, probably in the 40s or 50s. But I wonder, it's just, to me, it's kind of cool to see how the pendulum swings, like you said, whereas in the 60s, whenever you start getting Iron Man and Thor.
Or in the 80s of Wolverine.
Right, or the 80s with Wolverine, that becomes normalized. Whereas with Superman and Batman, that's never been the norm. Same with Spider-Man, but Spider-Man's traditionally younger. It makes more sense that he would be clean-shaven.
Yeah.
But yeah, same with like, any of the Robins or Terry McGinnis or anything like that would be clean shaven. But the men, I think it's interesting just the way that throughout time things have changed. Especially, I think Aquaman's a really good example because he's a character who's been reinvented so many times that because he's never he's only partly worked in every incarnation.
He's never really caught on.
Yeah, so they keep reinventing him and keep trying. And, there's the version in the Justice League animated series where he's got a hook for a hand and he's got, long hair and a long beard. And you know what? That's very King Triton-ish, like you said, like Poseidon-y. But I kind of like that look for him because it separates him in like a silhouette form from someone like Superman. But, the point is, I think that's interesting. And I thought, if the idea of the ideal man, the ideal strong person in the 1930s was the underwear on the outside of the pants, which made sense because circus strong men wore their underwear on the outside of their pants. That's where that came from. What if Superman were invented today? What would his costume look like? What would his appearance be? Would he have short hair? Would he have long hair? Would he have a beard or no? I just think that's kind of interesting to think about. I thought it was relevant.
Yeah, and in my opinion, it comes from how you self-identify in a way, too. I mean, like I said, for me, it was just a matter of, I just thought that's what people did, I mean, and I went to, in my school, you had to be real clean shaven, have a short haircut and everything, so the first thing I did when I graduated was, all right, well, I'm going to grow a beard, I'm not going to cut my hair, and it looked terrible, but, there was a certain amount of freedom in it, and then it just sort of became how I was associated. But I only kept it as long as I could stand maintaining it, and now I can sort of maintain it and am more comfortable with it. So I've had the one I currently have. I've had that one since the fall. I mean, August or something. And I don't know. I don't know when I'll shave it. Just depends. But I mean, for me, it's my two jobs are, one's a production-y kind of job. I work in the news. There's no dress code. All I have to do when I show up is wear closed-toed shoes. But I could wear a t-shirt. I don't have to shave or really cut my hair because I'm not on air. There's not a dress code for me. And my other job being maintenance, it's a working class, kind of salt of the earth sort of a job. In a way, not really, but that's how I justify it. But both of my occupations are typically done by bearded individuals historically. Not historically, but production-y, edit-y stuff with software is beardy to me. And obviously, doing electrical work and stuff is as well. So I guess that's a big part of it for me too, and just the fact that I can grow one. I mean, I can't grow the best one, and it is one of the first things I notice on men is, okay, can he grow a beard? Is it a good one? Should he not? You know, it's, you know, so.
Yeah, see, and I don't grow much of a beard, but in a way I'm thankful for that because I like my long hair, and I think if I had a thick beard with the long hair, I would look like I was homeless or like I'm Tom Hanks in Castaway. So I wouldn't do that anyway. But at the same time, you know, I've got a little bit of a goatee going on and a little bit underneath my chin, you know, coming back and then a little bit up, like sideburn connected to the goatee kind of a deal. And it's light, but it's there. And it's, you know, simply, I think, because if I were clean shaven with the long hair, I don't think that looks good either. So I think for me, the long hair sticks me in this place where I've got to be like on the lighter side, but with something. And so I'm kind of thankful for the way that all worked out.
Yeah, I think Dustin, if you had like a super thick beard, you could totally pull it off. You do that thing where you do like the beard ponytail where you just tie off the front of it, you know, so it kind of just goes in a nice little. I think you'd totally pull it off. Your thing is like you have really like good fair skin. If I may say so, like part of what gives you a younger base appearance is you have good skin. So if you had like a big thick brown beard, I'd sort of look at you and be like, is he wearing like a fake beard? Right. And then after a while, I'd be like, oh no, it's real. It's totally real. Right. Exactly. You pull it off. You just gotta wear a lot more flannel and stuff. Yeah.
A little more lumberjacky.
Yeah, lumberjacky. Anyway, yeah, Men with Beards is on Amazon Prime Instant, and if you subscribe, like it's not gonna ruin your day. So it's my seal of approval. Won't ruin your day. You know what else won't ruin your day, Dustin?
What's that?
Letterboxd.
Oh yeah.
Right now, listeners of our show have the chance to win a free 1-year pro account upgrade or extension on Letterboxd. For those who do not know what Letterboxd is a social network for film lovers, and it lets you track, rate, review the films you watch, follow other members to get recommendations, publish lists of films, and plenty more. It's free to use. That's the good part. It's not going to cost you anything. But a pro account provides additional features such as customized summary of your past year's viewing. If you want to enter to win this free upgrade or extension of your pro account, you can email us at HooperCast@gmail.com for your chance to win. So what you need to do is just email HooperCast@gmail.com, type Hooper in the subject line, and also include your Letterboxd username in the email. The winner is going to be selected at the end of each month. That's not including this month, December. I'm just sort of giving you guys a head start on this in case people, are behind on episodes and stuff. So January's winner will be selected at the end of January. Again, that's letterboxd.com, letterboxd.com. No ED, just BOXD.com. And you can also follow the show on Letterboxd. We have a page on there. Right now, there's nothing on it because I just didn't really know how we should set it up, but it's going to basically include any films that Dustin or I see. So it'll be treated as, the show's page. It's not Dustin's page. It's not mine. It's for the show. And maybe little snippets of our thoughts on the said film. That's just as soon as I can figure out a way to maintain it that makes sense for you guys. So again, letterboxd.com. Search us on there. We're HooperCast, just like the name of the show. And
awesome.
So enjoy that. Enjoy Letterboxd. It's a pretty cool thing because a lot of times, how Facebook used to have it still has movies I like and stuff. Mm-hmm. But I never search anyone based on that because that's not what I use Facebook for. But Letterboxd is specifically for that. And
exactly.
I took a chunk of your time, Dustin. I'm sorry. So let's get right into the main reason we're talking today, which is you saw a film, and when you told me what you were seeing, do you remember what was it, 2 weeks ago? We were talking about what was coming up in theaters. And I said, oh, here's a film called MI5. But it wasn't Mission Impossible 5. It was a Kit Harington movie that just was called MI5.
Yeah, and the poster looks very similar.
The poster has like fire on it, and he's holding a gun, and he's got the long hair. So when Dustin said, I saw MI5, I thought that's what he was talking about. And I thought he saw it because we mentioned it. And I was like, God, why'd you spend your money on that, Dustin?
No.
And then in the true sense of Jon Snow, I knew nothing. And so, Dustin, you saw Mission Impossible 5? Is it 5, right? Rogue Nation's number 5?
Yeah, Rogue Nation, yeah.
Yeah.
I think its official title is just Mission Impossible Rogue Nation.
Rogue Nation.
So I guess we're officially losing the numbers.
Yeah.
I think 4 didn't have a number either. It was just Ghost Protocol,
It was just Ghost Protocol, yeah.
So the last one with a number was 3? That was called MI3, right?
Yeah, MI3.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Which I think is kind of fitting because this is sort of a new series in a way. Still, of course, led by Tom Cruise. But this definitely is different from the original 3. So let me just go ahead and recap it, give you a little synopsis here. The film stars Tom Cruise again as Ethan Hunt, and returning with him is Simon Pegg as Benji Dunn, Ving Rhames as Luther Stickle, and Jeremy Renner
is that really
as
his last name?
I think so. I looked it up earlier. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, it is Luther Stickle.
Wow.
And Jeremy Renner as William Brandt. So Simon Pegg obviously came around in like the 3rd film, I think. Jeremy Renner just is carried over from Ghost Protocol, and Ving Rhames has been it since the beginning.
Since the beginning.
Yeah. So it's a good cast that they've assembled, and so the synopsis is this: the film starts with Tom Cruise, or I'm sorry, I'm not going to call him Tom Cruise. I'm going to call him Ethan Hunt. Ethan Hunt. Trying to get back a whole pallet of like nuclear bombs, and in this mission, you know how like the films always start with like the end of a previous mission or something.
Yeah.
So that's where we start here, and this mission has been part of an ongoing investigation into a criminal organization known as the Syndicate. And so this, evil conglomerate is over a bunch of things that have happened recently, all off screen, all things between the last film and this film. And so the opening sequence is dadgummit, I'm going to do it. Ethan Hunt, Tom Hunt, Ethan Cruz,
Ted Cruz.
Ted Cruz,
yeah.
getting all of these nuclear warheads off of this airplane. Everything's cool, but it confirms that there is an evil syndicate out there. So at the same time, the IMF is under investigation by the CIA. So William Brandt goes with a new face. His name, I can't remember his name. Anyway, he's played by Alec Baldwin. It's just Alec Baldwin, basically. Alec Baldwin works for the CIA, and in his opinion, the IMF is outdated and needs to be shut down because, in his mind, it's sort of they end up lucky more than they are skilled. So he goes before the Senate. William makes his case, and the Senate decides that indeed the IMF needs to be disbanded. So they sort of merge everything with the CIA, and the IMF is no more. Now, at this point, Tom Cruise, who has just confirmed the presence of the syndicate, now has two options, essentially. One, he can return back to what I guess now would be Langley, or at least Washington, D.C., and be like, okay, cool, I'll get with the program. Or he could continue going after the syndicate on his own, off books. Now, which do you think that you
He followed those rules. He went back to Langley and was like, yes, sir. And then he cut his hair and was like, I'll go file those reports. And
I'll quit Scientology.
And while I'm at it, I need to talk to Brenda about extending my health benefits because I don't think I'm getting the correct amount of coverage. My copay is really high, and I go to the doctor a lot because I just feel like I should have a better plan. So I need to talk. Oh, Brenda's not here. Okay, so when will Brenda be back? Because I need to talk to her about my benefits. Because
also, do you guys validate parking? Because
I got a ticket, and that's I work. I would think that I've established enough of a presence. I'm Ethan Hunt. I should have my own spot, frankly. I'm not going to complain because I love to. I don't just walk from my car to the front door. I actually run. I think you guys know I love running. I run with all like my files and my satchel. I actually send a drone from my car holding the satchel up to my office, which for some reason, why was Pete in my office this morning? I've got a lot of things that we really need to address. I'm off, and when I'm off for 2 months in another country, I don't get to address these. I come back and Pete's in my office, and like I'm getting this big ass doctor's bill, and Brenda's not here, and I don't have a parking pass. We really need to clear all this up. So is that what he does?
Yeah, okay. That's the whole movie.
Sounds good.
No, so he continues going after the syndicate and of course pulls in some old friends to help him. That's the film at its most basic. There's several more twists and turns involved, of course, and a couple of new faces. One of which is a villain played by Sean Harris, who you may know from something like Prometheus, or the other new face is Rebecca Ferguson, who I don't know that I've seen her in anything. But anyway, she's in the movie. That's the film at its most basic. So here's what I'll say, right? It's difficult at this point to sort of rank the films because A, there's quite a few of them, and second, because they are, I feel, very different now. Because if you look back, traditionally the Mission Impossible movies have been led by Ethan Hunt, and then like Luther's there like sometimes. And that's sort of the traditional structure of it. Now, however, it's more closer to like it's more closely related to the television show where there seems to be now a team that we're going to follow, and they all have their strengths and weaknesses. But so rather than personal character development, we're getting like interpersonal relationship development. So this film takes its time to set up sort of a growth or a deepening of the friendship between Ethan Hunt and Simon Pegg's character, Benji Dunn. And so that's sort of the character arc that you're going to see in this film. Now, here's the thing. I still probably think the third one is the best one. And the reason for that isn't because it had the best, whatever, like that they were trying to do, or the most stakes or the whatever. It was because we got a peek into Ethan Hunt's private life, and none of the films since have really dealt with that, or before. So this is certainly it's the same way where we don't get to see much of Ethan, but we have all these other faces to get to know and their dynamics between each of them. So that's interesting. The stakes in this film are pretty high, if never really implicitly addressed. Or explicitly?
Explicitly.
One of those. Explicitly addressed. It's never like said like, okay, well, if the villain does this, then this. But we just know that if he succeeds in what he's trying to do, it's going to be bad. And because we've seen what they have done. And so for that reason, I don't know that this film really sticks out as being one of the greatest of the Mission Impossible movies, but it's certainly far from the worst. So it's definitely somewhere in the middle, and it's definitely enjoyable, especially if you like a good action movie, or you like good action choreography, or if you like good action direction, or just like watching Tom Cruise do some cool stuff. This is going to be the movie for you. But I have to point out, this film has a lot of similarities to Spectre.
I was going to mention that just from what you're describing, like the investigation into the IMF and with Jeremy Renner kind of being their handler in a way, kind of like Ray Fiennes, and just the nature of the franchise getting into more of like a grittier, kind of higher actions. I mean, Mission Impossible always had action, but that was really due to having so many different kinds of directors more than like the nature of what would happen to. I mean, Ethan Hunt is a more action oriented. He's a super spy. He's like an action hero kind of spy, whereas Bond is more. He is action's kind of the last resort. He's sent in for his charm and his ability to think and improvise. Ethan Hunt's like Ethan's gonna. We need someone to either hold their breath for a long time, climb something very large, or parachute into something, or run very fast without tiring. So we'll get Ethan Hunt for that.
Right, exactly. But there are a lot of similarities. Like you said, the investigation of the IMF, it's sort of dissolving into another company or organization, rather. Absorbed. So you've got like in this one, the IMF being absorbed by CIA, and in Spectre, the 00 program is being absorbed by the MI6. I mean, all of this stuff is or MI5, whichever it is. Anyway, so that runs parallel, and then at the same time, there's an evil organization that's behind a lot of things. And so Spectre or the Syndicate are really one and the same, and they're both led by like a weird, creepy guy. So to me, they're very similar. Do you want to take a guess which one I think is better, or which one I think handles both of those points better?
I'm guessing Mission Impossible.
You're right,
because you would have come out of Spectre with a overall higher opinion of it than the phrase "I think I'm done with Daniel Craig as James Bond."
Exactly. Yeah. No, you're right. So this handles it better because of a few reasons. One, this villainous organization isn't behind things that we've already seen. It's not like they're saying, "Oh, everything from Mission Impossible 1 onwards is all connected," even though there's
We're the ones who stole the knock list in the first film.
Right, exactly. Like they don't try that. They just say, "Hey, between Ghost Protocol and Rogue Nation, they've done a lot of really bad things," and we see like newspaper headlines of what they've been doing.
We're the ones who put. We're also the ones who put the doves in the hallway in the second movie. Ethan, in this indoor underground hallway. Don't know how they got there or why. Well, now you know. We had a trainer.
Now you know.
He opened the little bag. He sort of ran off, and then Ethan ran in and disturbed their little pack they were feeding. And
we have men everywhere.
And doves.
Yes, and doves everywhere. I mean, look, so it handles that, I think, better because you're not asking me to, like, suspend my disbelief as much as with Spectre. You're like, okay, well, everything's connected, even though you don't think it is or never thought it could be. So suspend your disbelief for a minute and believe us when we say it's all connected. Whereas Spectre is saying, the Syndicate is saying, hey, all of this stuff that you didn't see, we did it. And you're like, okay, cool, I can buy that. So for that reason, it's just sort of done better. Then you have the whole investigation of the IMF. Well, this sort of happens in a similar way as Spectre. So with Spectre, they're almost being investigated because of the events of Skyfall. And it's the same here. They're being investigated because of the events of Rogue Nation. Ghost Protocol.
Ghost Nation.
And Go Nation Protocol. And so they are being investigated for that reason. And you have, while I do prefer the person doing the investigating in Spectre, who plays Moriarty, what's his name? Andrew Scott. And while I prefer him to Alec Baldwin, but then again, I kind of prefer like my desk to Alec Baldwin, or my shoe. But I think that
what's everybody staring at? It's just a shoe. Get to work, everybody.
Get to work. This handles it better because we have an attachment, I guess, more of an attachment to Ethan Hunt than we do this particular Bond, or at least I do, which is strange. And also because we know that when Andrew Scott's investigating the 00 program, Bond is already off the books and already a problem and already, just immature and whatever. But here, Ethan Hunt's just trying to do his job, and then you're impeding his ability to do that. So right away, the CIA is sort of the villain. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, so to me, that kind of handles it better, because you're like, look, I'm an audience member. I know that there's a bad guy out there, and Ethan's the only one on the trail. Like, don't pull him off. Let him go. And so for me, that's handled a little better. But having said all that, I think that I am a little eager to see in the next installment of Mission Impossible a little more peek as to who Ethan Hunt is. Show me a little more about him personally. At the end of Ghost Protocol, there was a small little snippet of a scene with Michelle Monaghan, and isn't that her name? I'm bad with names today. There was a small scene with Michelle Monaghan.
Yeah, his wife. Yeah, it's Michelle Monaghan.
And so you kind of get that little snippet in Ghost Protocol of who he is off the clock. This has no trace of her, no trace of that. So I'd love in the sixth one to see a little more of Ethan Hunt, who he is. So maybe make the stakes more personal than huge spectacle. But that would be about my only thing, because, this was a really fun movie to watch, and it's got some great sequences in it. It's in all the trailers, him hanging on the side of the plane. It's in all the trailers, him diving down underwater to do something that he's got to hold his breath for. I mean, all of this stuff is exciting stuff. Car chases and all that good stuff. So this is a really good movie, and I think if I had to put them in order, I would probably say 3 is my favorite, followed by Ghost Protocol, and then this one. But I'm not 100% sure of that. I'm going to have to kind of reevaluate. But that's just sort of a knee-jerk kind of placement for this film. But yeah, I enjoyed it quite a lot. Like I said, if you like action movies, you like Tom Cruise, you like all that good stuff, you will enjoy it. I did not mention that the film is written and directed for the first time by one man, as opposed to typically they hire a writer and then they hire a director to come on later. This is written and directed by Christopher McQuarrie. Mm-hmm. This makes his 4th collaboration with Tom Cruise, first being Valkyrie, then Jack Reacher, then Edge of Tomorrow, and now Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, or dadgummit, I'm doing that every time. Rogue Nation. And he's also slated to work on MI6 as well. So
I think he's also shooting Jack Reacher 2, I think.
Oh, I think you're right. So, yeah. I think you're right.
From everything I ever heard from him and Tom are real, like, simpatico in terms of how they like to work. So I think he found his muse in Tom Cruise, and
definitely.
Also just a powerful guy in Hollywood who believed in his ideas and would be in his corner to help get them made. So
exactly.
He's sort of had, because I know Chris McQuarrie, after he'd said, like, the one thing that sucked about winning the Oscar for The Usual Suspects so early was just like, where do you go from here? So for a while it was kind of little things, but now he's having sort of like a second life in Hollywood due to his collaboration with Tom Cruise. Right, so I'm really happy for him, because I like him.
I am too. I think he's pretty talented. His direction is really, really on point. I mean, there may be a couple of things in this film where you're like, oh, I don't understand that, or camera placement or whatever. But you know what? Honestly, like, I think he does a great job, and it's clear to me that the actors, especially Tom Cruise, are very comfortable now. Like, maybe that's just because Tom Cruise has been playing this character for so long. But I think there's a good working relationship between him and this director, and there's a reason why he continues to work with him. So there's a comfort level, and I think everybody's kind of just having a good time. And I love the team they've established. You've got, like I said, Tom Cruise Simon Pegg, Jeremy Renner, and Ving Rhames being sort of the main four. I do think that Ving Rhames is probably redundant at this point because if you remember, Ving Rhames was the tech guy, and now that we've got Simon Pegg, it's a little redundant to have him considering he's more out of shape than Simon Pegg. So unless they transition Simon into more of a field agent kind of a character and let Ving Rhames stay behind in the van, then I think he's a little redundant, and what they could do is kill off Ving Rhames for some emotional stakes, and then bring in someone new and someone a little more diverse. So either I hate that I'm championing diversity for diversity's sake, but I think that's one of the things about the original show that was cool. So you bring in Rebecca Ferguson did a great job if you wanted to bring her back, or even I don't know, just some young kind of up and coming kind of a guy, I think would be really fun. Like a Michael B. Jordan or something. I just want Michael B. Jordan in everything. But, you could go either way. Go with somebody young and like an untested field agent, or, someone even older than Tom who's like forced back into it. But, I don't know. I just think that probably Luther's a little redundant at this point, and Simon Pegg has more charisma. So I would say kill off Luther at in the next film, get Ethan Hunt all emotional, and then have him deliver the beat down on some dudes.
All right. Well, I'll definitely. I was going to try and watch this last night so I could contribute to the review, but one, we don't have time for my opinions if I'd had any, and two. I would have had to stay up for 2 hours after getting off work, and I just couldn't do it. So I'll definitely check it out.
Sounds good, man.
Real quick, in theaters right now, Sisters, starring Tina Fey and Amy Poehler, which I'm not really that interested in. Even though I don't know why I'm not interested, because I like the two of them, but maybe it's just because it seems it's like, hey, here we go.
Right.
Alvin and the Chipmunks, The Road Chip.
Oh, no.
So there's that. And so I know that John said that him and his sister every year will go watch a bad movie at Christmas time. So I know what John's seeing this holiday season.
Yep.
And then some movie called Star Wars, The Force Awakens also is in theaters right now.
Yes.
Probably barely hanging on box office wise.
Yeah, probably not doing very good at all.
Yeah. No, it's gonna destroy. And that's one of the reasons I'm not gonna see it in theaters. I'm not we've talked about this, there's not much to say. It's not that I don't think it'll be good. It's just that it's one of those everyone's so interested. It's just like I'm just gonna hang back till it cleans out a little bit and I'll catch it later.
Sure.
And the big reason I see stuff in theaters is to avoid spoilers. I don't care if this movie's spoiled for me. It doesn't matter.
I gotcha. See, I don't want it spoiled, but yeah, I think that it's...
I'm much more worried about having Captain America spoiled for me than I am Star Wars.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I hear you. I don't want it spoiled, but I think I'm just going to wait until the theater clears out a bit, see it when it's a little quieter. Yeah. Also out in limited release is a film called Son of Saul, which I did see at the film festival, but I decided not to review it simply because I had to get up about halfway through, and I missed maybe 15 minutes of it. But I will say this: it's a very powerful film that takes place in 1944 in Auschwitz, and it follows one guy who's trying to find a priest, a rabbi rather, who will bury his son who has died. And of course, this is against all regulations, so they have to find somebody who's willing to go against everything and bury somebody properly. So it's an interesting movie. You will not walk out of that probably without a lump in your throat or something, because it's a hard movie to watch. But it's very interesting, and it's shot really well. And if I remember right, almost all of it is shot like with the main character like in close up. I mean, it's crazy. It's very interesting. But yeah. So if that's in your area and you feel like a good Holocaust movie, there you go.
All right. If the Holocaust mood strikes. All right. Well, thank you everybody for listening. Check us out on iTunes or HooperCast. All the episodes are up on YouTube now. So you can catch us all the way on YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
You can also catch us on Stitcher. We're on Stitcher now. So just if you have the Stitcher app, just search HooperCast. You'll find us there. And also, like I said, try and find us out on follow us rather on Letterboxd, and just keep your expectations low in terms of that for now, just because haven't figured out how best to maintain that so far. But the best way, obviously, to keep up with us is just to listen to the show. But if you prefer written versions of the show, I guess that's what Letterboxd will be, sort of. So, anyway, and like I said, email us, try to get into that contest, get yourself a free pro upgrade or extension, because especially if you already have Letterboxd and you like Letterboxd, but you don't want to spend any money, that's a good way to get in on that. And then maybe you'll like it so much, your pro account will be nothing in the grand scheme. So, anyway. All right, well, next week's going to be a prereq because we are just too busy. It's Christmas week. So it'll be a prereq next week. Try not to be too disappointed. Spend it with your families. Enjoy people. And we will be back. The episode after that, which will be 110, will be part one of our 2016 look ahead in movies.
Oh, yeah.
And then after that, obviously, part two. So,
yes. We split it up.
A couple, it's just a lot. So, and then a couple weeks later will be our best of 2015. So you got a prereq, and then you got some best ofs or some look aheads, and then third week of January will be a regular episode probably. So, oh yeah, it's gonna be a lot. So by then, Dustin, maybe we can review Man in the High Castle or something.
Yeah, that'd be good. How far are you?
I'm starting the pilot today.
Gotcha. Awesome.
Because I just knew we wouldn't be talking about it for a while.
Right. Exactly.
So anyway, all right, guys. See you later.
Bye-bye.
Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Shabbat Shalom. Bye.
Bye. Whoopie holidays.